Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk to you about your social issue project. This video is required as part of the project. So let's get started. Okay, so here is, there we go. Okay, so here is your social issue project. You are going to spend the rest of the semester working on this project, so it is really important that you understand what's required of you. It is 100 points, so it's basically a make or break kind of situation. If you're not doing very well, doing great on this project can totally change your grade, but the opposite is also true. So make sure that you are focusing a lot of attention on this project and meeting out your time appropriately. Okay, so basically the requirement that you have here is that while you have a topic that you get to choose for your project, everybody is going to end up analyzing and creating a highly polished presentation or paper with regard to your topic, and then we're going to talk about how that is. So the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to review the list of issues and topics at the bottom of the page. So you're going to scroll to the bottom first. So these are the topics and sources, and you're going to pick something that speaks to you. You're gonna pick some issue here from this list that that is important to you, and you're going to basically use that main source. We're referring to these links, these podcasts, as your main source. You're going to listen to it in the same way that you listen to According to Need, very carefully, taking notes, and you're going to, as you listen, even if you've listened to this podcast before, you're going to need to listen to it again because you need to submit notes as part of your project. As you listen, you're going to be thinking about what stands out to you as a potential area for exploration. So what does that mean? I'm going to go into that in just a little bit, but let's scroll back up. So your proposal is due in this module. It's only 7 points, but it is really, really important that you complete your proposal so that we can have a conversation, at least through the submission comments of your proposal, to make sure that you are on track and have a really good plan in place for what you're going to be doing. So what you're going to be doing for your proposal is that you're going to be picking an issue or a topic on what you're going to complete, and you're going to decide what kind of project you're going to complete. So you don't have to listen to the entire main source before you do your proposal. That's not reasonable. But what you might want to do is just spend a little bit of time, a few minutes, listening a little bit to your main source, see if it grabs your attention. Because if you end up finding it boring or overwhelming, or you don't like it, you're going to have a really hard time listening through it and, basing your project on its ideas. So make sure that you have spent some time with that before you pick an issue or topic. And then you're going to decide what kind of project it is that you want to do. And, you are not necessarily limited to a presentation or a research paper, but 95% of people choose to do a presentation or a research paper. So that's what I'm going to cover here. The presentations and research papers both need to include notes from the main source. So I think it's 30 points of the 100 points that this project is worth, something like that, 20 or 30 points, is notes from your main source. Again, in the same vein as what you did for According to Need. So that's not an insignificant portion of the points. in both cases, it's a completely different document from the rest of the project. So, so you need to do that. For presentations, you are going to submit a video, and it's gonna be, you know, a video with audio. I can't tell you how many times people submit to me, you know, separate files of you know, their presentation and then voiceover, and that is not going to work. You are going to need to figure out how to do a voiceover for your slides. You know, you're going to have to figure out how to do basically what I'm doing right now, which is to talk over a screen. And you know, it's fine if you use PowerPoint to do this, that is absolutely fine, but do not send me a PowerPoint file. Send me a MOV file, an MP4 file, a YouTube URL. Please don't send me Google or PowerPoint files. They are problematic in ways that it's just not important to discuss right now, but please don't send those. Also include a written script. You know, the reason behind this is that I want to make sure that you have thought through what you're going to say over each slide of your presentation. Your presentation is 25 to 30 minutes long. It's basically a lecture, right? So I want to make sure that for each slide, you have thought through, at least in a bullet point way, right? It doesn't have to be word for word, but you've thought through, at least in a bullet point way, what it is that you're going to be talking about on each slide. And then finally, you're going to include an APA formatted reference page with at least 5 peer-reviewed sources. That is the same requirement for both types of projects. So you need that for research papers as well. For a research paper, again, you're going to include your notes from the main source. The paper is going to be about 1,000 words long. It typically I'm pretty gentle with about, you know, 100 words of leeway. But you know, less than 900 words, you're not going into enough detail. More than 1,100 words, you're going on too long. Really be aiming for that 1,000-word mark. And again, you're going to have you're going to follow that APA format. I'm going to add here the part about the reference page, but it does require that you have proper APA format. So I need to make that edit, but that's definitely true. So that's step 1 is your proposal. Step 2 is your project development. So once your proposal has been accepted and graded and everything, and you're ready to get working, you really need to visit the social issue submission assignment to review the rubric, because if you don't know what the requirements are, what you're being graded on, then you're not going to be able to create something that works. So to scroll down here to the rubric, which is on that submission page. So it says here, right, 20 points for those main source notes, right? And 10 points for the proofreading and the formatting and the quality of your presentation. You know, this one is written as though all of these are video presentations, but you know, it works the same for your paper as well. So I might edit that just a little bit, but it's the same idea. Your reference list also needs to be presented in APA format. There needs to be at least 5 of them. And your project, the project itself, the meat of the project is 60 points. So it needs to be well researched, well organized, well thought out, well discussed. You summarize very briefly, and I'm going to go back to this in a little bit, but you summarize very briefly your main source, but the bulk of the time and space is spent discussing and analyzing the issue that you've chosen. If you're writing a paper, you need to make sure that you're using APA format. Right? If you're using a video or a lecture, you need to make sure that you include the script. So this is all the stuff that we've already talked about on the other page, right? It's just all in one place, and you can see how many points are attached to each. So listen to your main source. That's step 2. it includes the notes on the same level of detail as the according to need assignment. If you need to go back and review the comments that I gave you for that assignment, then please go do that. If you have any questions about the grade that I gave you in that assignment, please go back and do that. If you did not do that assignment, I highly recommend that you do it, not just because I believe it's 32 points, which is more than most exams, but because having done that and knowing what is required of you is really important for doing a good job here. So I do highly suggest that you do that if you have not completed that assignment. So then for step 3, you need to decide what aspect of the issue you want to focus on. It doesn't have to be a major theme of the source that you've chosen. It just has to be something that, like, while you're listening, you're like, huh, I wonder, like, that little corner of that. I wonder, if I could take that and run with it. So, like, for example, for military and veteran social work, the Third Squad podcast is fascinating. There are so many moving parts to that podcast. But let's say you want to focus on the risk factors and mitigators of suicide for veterans. That's fine. Go ahead and do that. Like it's not a huge focus of that podcast, but it's something that maybe that podcast made you think about. So that's a good direction to go with that. So my tip here is that while you're doing notes for the main source, use stars or colored highlights to remind yourself of potential focuses. I wouldn't decide before you're done listening to the entire podcast. Okay, so then do your research into your topic. You're going to want to stick to peer-reviewed sources unless have chosen a topic where there aren't any. I cannot picture a situation in which that's true. But like, come to me and let's discuss it. If you don't think there are any peer-reviewed sources, we probably aren't going to be able to use that as a topic, but like, let's talk about it anyway. So let's look at this page. This is a really important page. If you're not really sure what peer-reviewed sources are, this page is going to help you with that. It's also going to help you find them. So, you need to identify peer-reviewed articles, and then you need to be using original research articles only, right? So for this, you might be able to use like a meta-analysis or something. That's okay. But like really you're going to be sticking to original research articles. There is more than one type of peer-reviewed article, okay? And just because it came from a peer-reviewed journal does not make it original research article. So make sure that you're picking the correct type, okay? If you have any questions about that, you can absolutely ask me. So you can use your CCSF account to locate an original research article on your topic. These are the instructions on how to do that. Yes, you can use other engines. You can use Google Scholar. You can do all of that if you want, but like the CCSF library is available to you. It's a very powerful resource, and I highly recommend that you use it. Okay, so then now it's time to like create your project, right? Make sure that there's a very small part of your project where you summarize your main source. You talk about, like, you spend one slide talking about, what that, Third Squad podcast was about. That's fine. Couple of minutes, one slide, that's it, right? Every semester, at least one student turns in something that is only a summary of their main source instead of a project that uses it as a jumping off point for something bigger. And frankly, those people don't get good grades. They don't. That's not what this is about. You are not being asked to regurgitate the summary of what you listen to. You were asked to think and analyze, right? So make sure that you do that. So when you're finishing up, just make sure that your project meets all the requirements of the rubric, that it's polished and well presented and includes all the components discussed above. Make sure that you have proofread. Okay, so I already showed you the rubric for this assignment. Just make sure that you're paying attention to the rubric for this assignment. Okay, so hopefully that is helpful. And every link and everything that you need, if you have questions about, if you want to write a paper and you have questions about how to do a research paper, then we should have a conversation about that. Because, you know, a research paper is not an opinion paper. It's not a, you know, I think this, I think that. A research paper is rooted in the research. There's no opinions in it that are not rooted in the research. So if you have questions about how to do that, please come and talk to me, and I'm happy to address it with you. Okay, thank you.